आदरणीय मुकुल जी कानिटकर, भारतीय शिक्षण मंडल के सभी वरिष्ठ अधिकारी, मेरे सभी गुरुजन और सभी उपस्थित हजारों घरों में ये जो मेरा संभाषण होगा उसको सुनने वाले सभी विद्यार्थीगण, आज मैं एक बहुत ही आनंद महसूस कर रहा हूँ। एक आनंद की घड़ी महसूस कर रहा हूँ मेरे जीवन की, कि आज मैं आपके सामने कुछ विचार भारतीय शिक्षण प्रणाली का और हमारे गुरु शिष्य प्रणाली का जो इतिहास रही है, जो परंपरा रही है, उसके बारे में कुछ विचार आपके सामने रखने वाला हूँ। कल गुरु पूर्णिमा थी। भारतीय शिक्षण मंडल के लिए ये तो बहुत ही महत्व का दिन माना जाता है। आज कल के दिन जो व्यास पूजा हुई है, व्यास पूजा का महत्व हमारे शिक्षण प्रणाली में, हमारे गुरुकुल पद्धति में बहुत ही, उसका महत्व ही नहीं तो महात्म्य में बहुत ही अहम रहा है। और उसके बारे में कुछ मैं आपके सामने मेरे जो विचार स्फूर्त तरीके से मेरे सामने आ रहे, वो आपके सामने रखने की कोशिश करूँगा। कुछ विचार अंग्रेजी में तो कुछ विचार हिंदी में मैं आपके साथ शेयर करने वाला हूँ। फ्रेंड्स, our civilization is a very ancient civilization। जो भारतीय परंपरा रही है, जो भारतीय संस्कृति का इतिहास हम जब देखते हैं, it has been one of the most ancient civilizations of the world। And this is very important for us to see that for thousands of years we do not know. I think the history being still rewritten as the new discoveries are coming before us. The recent discoveries in Rakigadi, and even before that, the recent research papers which have gone in archaeology, in anthropology, in the linguistics area, and of course in scientific arena, I think are throwing new light on the ancientness of this civilization, great civilization. My dear students particularly, and I will say also teachers, that we had a glorious history of our culture, and we must appreciate that. If you look at the history of civilizations, there have been great historians like Earl Toynbee, Will Durant, the popular historians. I'm not talking about the great scholars who have thrown light on the histories of different civilizations of humanity that arose on this planet over the last, I would say, 14,000 years, particularly last 9,000 years, and even the continuity after that as we are witnessing today. Friends, one observation which comes to my mind from the studies of these historians is that one of the earliest civilizations was the Vedic civilization which arose in this continent, or what we call as Bharat today. This one distinctive features of this civilization studies is that in succession from last 7,000 years, we had Sumerian civilization, we had Mesopotamian civilization, we had Egyptian civilization, we had the earliest the Greek civilization, and the mighty Roman civilizations. And if we look toward the east, we had the Chinese civilization, which was significantly influenced by India, by our great Bharat, Indian civilization, and of course consequently in the Japanese civilization and Korean civilization. If you look towards the west, if you really look to the Americas, we had the Mayan civilizations, and then we had also the ancient civilization, what we call the Incan civilization. Friends, these civilizations arose, they reached their peaks and they went off over the subsequent centuries. As with the passage of time, they went off, and we cannot see now that they're sufficient the impact on the world today. This one, it is only the Indian civilization, if you really look at it, which still today is I think, unbroken. He has an unbroken history of his impact even today. And one of the things to be noticed is that this civilization is thriving and living and scintillating even today. The sign of this is that the Gurukul system, which emanated during the Vedic times and even before that, the Gurukul system of education still is a living system even today. And today I am going to speak on that kind of thing. Even today's modern contemporary civilization, with the new subjects which did not exist at that time, the new pursuits of knowledge did not exist at that time, and the researches and innovation that is occurring today, there is still a living Gurukul parampara in our education system. I have been working with several archaeologists. I have been exchanging my views or learning from them. Professor Vasant Sindhi of Deccan College, Professor Sudhakar Rane, who had written encyclopedic work on it, the various civilizations, particularly the Indian civilization, Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan of the UGC, and of course, from time to time, Mukulji Kanitkar, who have been reflecting on this civilization, on this particularly the education systems of India, and of course our Honorable Prime Minister who have been speaking on this, and also our Honorable HRD Minister Nishankaji, who have been speaking on it from, I think, on different occasions. Friends, the glimpse of this civilization, today I am talking about the popular terms, if you really look at it, the vast color television network which we have developed today, which has become now interactive, certain says, also this one, on the internet, as we see it, this one, we see that several serials, which are popular serials which are going on today, and if you look at, for example, the serial Ramayana, which came several decades back from Ramananda Sagar, that serial is going on today, one of the most watched in the world. I think the serial that is this one, where we see Maharshi, great gurus like Maharshi Vashishta, Maharshi Vishwamitra, and of course then we have the recent one, the new avatar of the Mahabharata serial, which is very well done, very well produced, very well storytelling, I think is there today, which I watch every day. I think it is so interesting and it is so enliving, this one. We see Maharshi Sandipani, and then the whole succession of gurus. So these serials of Ramayana, Mahabharata, and even before that the Puranas like Dev Ke Dev, Mahadev, and related serials or Vishnu Puran, I think we are observing the whole country, about 135 crores, and of course spanning across the world are watching these serials. So this shows I think the contemporariness of our civilization and of our culture. We call our nation as Bharat. It's very important. Why? This civilization or this culture or this system has been called as, our nation has been called as Bharat. One of the interpretation, of course, it is the clan of Bharata. It is one interpretation which is often. The another important philosophical interpretation is that Bharat means the land of what we connote by the word Bharat. Bha means Prabha. Prabha means the dawn. No? Prabha, the light of the dawn. That Prabha, that Bha, the radiance of the morning, this one, that is called Bha. Rata means then the society, the people who are engaged in the pursuit of knowledge. So Bha is the radiance of knowledge, and Rata means the society is not only just engaged, they are joyfully engaged in the pursuit of knowledge. So we have that, I think that is the true meaning of this civilization. Today we use the word knowledge-based civilization, knowledge-based economy. I think we go information-based economy. I come from information technology. We use the word this kind of thing. This was the first, I think, knowledge-based civilization of the entire humanity. If you look back the history, so this was the first civilization of that kind. And in this civilization, knowledge is the most respected entity. Knowledge alone, I would say that. In fact, the very purpose of life is to get enlightenment. There are different layers of, I think, knowledge. We start with, there is a thing coming from information technology. We start with, say, we classify this as the data, and then we have we go up, we have information. As we go up, we have knowledge, and eventually as we go further, we get what we call as the wisdom, and eventually enlightenment. So this is the thing I think we have been pursuing in this civilization, and we must understand that. I also see that this civilization, if it has to define as one entity, one distinctiveness, it is that knowledge part of it, knowledge-based civilization. In that context, I would say that kind of thing. I am very happy to see that Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal has chosen their motto or their objective or their main aim is to bring about, I think, revisit that, reimagine that knowledge system which existed at that time from the Vedic times, and then how it has been transformed over the years, and what is its relevance and what should we do to make that as the very fulcrum of our future development. You have used the Breathe Vakya, Nahi Jnanena Sadrusham Pavitrati Vimai. There is nothing more pure, purifying like knowledge. And that's our belief, and that's why we must put knowledge as the very frontier of our development of our nation. If you have to speak, what is important for India? It is knowledge, and knowledge alone, which is important, and that's what our rishis said. We had I think in this section, if you look at the Guru Parampara, starting from Maharshi Vyas, and even our Puranas, if you look at we regard Shiva, I think this begins from Mahadev, and it begins from, it is in Mahabharata. If you look at in our Bhagavad Gita, I think you look at that, this Nahi Jnanena Sadrusham Pavitramahi. This is the very motto, this is the very vision of our Bhagavad Gita, which is enunciated by none other than Vyasa himself, and said again, articulated for Krishna in this great epic of Mahabharata. Friends, if you look at today for the contemporary relevance, which is the subject of my talk, contemporary relevance of this knowledge-based civilization, you look at today. Today, is it living? Is it still thriving? I said it is still scintillating, and the evidence of that, the experience of that, you can feel in everyday life. Today, when we learn, for example, yoga, I think 21st June we celebrated the World Yoga Day. This one, Rafi, yoga, the whole world is celebrating, but the yoga parampara, I think, starts from Maharishi Patanjali, and even before that. And today it has been appearing in different forms. It's many manifestations which have come, always many innovations that has come. See, the yoga in Ayurveda, for example, we are looking at now the COVID, the pandemic, and I'm very happy that as the COVID came in, and we're trying to really how to contain that this pandemic, the world pandemic which we are facing, we had to again revisit, I think, Ayurveda. We have to revisit our ancient healing systems. We have to visit the ancient, the home systems, the home remedies which we carried from several generations together. And I say in that sense, it is a very living thing. I'm very happy that today new interpretations which are coming, we are taking the directions from Ayurveda. Similarly, in the tradition of music today, I think we love music. From Samveda, it begins to even to till today, which brings the joy or which brings the enlightenment in the life of so many people. That parampara has been the Guru-Shishya parampara. Learning of Sanskrit, learning of even martial arts, the craft of warfare, All these things which we look at, I think the Arthashastra of Chanakya, I think there has been a Guru Parampara, Guru-Shishya Parampara that has brought these systems to today. But the question is now, what is the future of the Gurukul system which we have nurtured, which we have lived with for several thousands of years? After coming of the several invasions from the 11th century onwards, this system got distorted. Somewhere it got distorted and its importance started waning, particularly when the new education system at that time in 1835, 1836 was designed by none other than a very scholar like Macaulay, and who brought out the education system. I think the really started the new education system for at that time for India based on English learning. One of the things is that what Macaulay wanted to do was that if we have to rule, he came to the conclusion, of course we all know this kind of the conclusion, that if the Britishers have to rule, if the English people have to rule India for thousands of years, then the existing system of, I think the culture, existing civilization or culture and system of education system must be destroyed and replaced by what is called not exactly the European system, but the interpretation of the Britishers that he had, that how India should be developed is by the English system, because they wanted to rule us and they wanted to see that as long as the civilization or the culture is, I think, is immutable, I think is present, they will not be able to rule India or continue their rule for years together, years ahead. So he came out with the Macaulay system, what we know, and that Macaulay system started replacing our, I think, very ancient Gurukul system, the Guru-Shishya Parampara. One of the things he did was, I think, as we all know, that he stopped funding of the Sanskrit Gurukulas or Sanskrits, I think, which had a state support, which had the supports of the kings and princes at that time from the ancient times. So he stopped that kind of thing. Slowly we started speaking English, and today's the Western system of learning system which we have today is the gift of Britishers to us, and is also, I think, certain things that we are today trying to reimagine what our education system. From 1947, this thought came, and there were several initiatives of redefining what our system should be. Several people have dwelt on this issue, and today we are going to relook at it. What do you see the Gurukul system in the contemporary terms today? This one, friends, we had several things. As I said, the Macaulay brought that in 1835, 36. Then we attained our freedom, and our first modern universities started taking shape in 1857. I think the year 1857 we know very well. I think it is etched in our, I think, the history, this one. But at that time, the Britishers brought, I think, the new universities for India, modern universities, which were established in Kolkata, that became Calcutta or Madras, then Bombay, and in several cities of India. And the university system, which was nurtured in and developed in Europe, started taking shape in India. Today, if you look at India, from those days, to I think the sprawling, the Gurukul system at that time, till today, I think if you see, India has established, we cannot believe this, over 1,000 universities. When I was studying, there were hardly few universities in India. In fact, the school system was taking shape, I think, taking roots in India. I remember the words of Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda, when he was wandering across India, I wanted to, this one, before going to the US, he was wandering across, going to England and then to the US, and he saw that our children, the girls and boys, had to swim across rivers to reach the schools, that kind of super. I myself experienced this in my own village when my own friends and also the girls and boys who had to come to the primary school in my village, they had to swim across the river which was flowing near my village, this one. So this situation even today exists in many. There are single teacher schools. There are many schools, Ekal schools, which we have got. But I think if India is known for, I think the education system is that grand Gurukul system which have given us the great gurus and also the great Shishyas in this over a passage of time. It is because of that our civilization has been kept alive, and also it has enhanced, it has been reinterpreted, it has been reimagined today. So today I was just referring to that we have the largest education system of India, of the world today, consisting of over close to 1,000 universities. There are hardly few. When I began my studies, my higher education in Amravati and in Nagpur and in Baroda and then the IIT Delhi and all that. There are very few universities at that time. Today we have 1,000. The network consists of the great, I think the central universities. There are great liberal universities in India. MS University, where I studied once, has been a liberal university. And then we have the IIT system, which began, I think, just before our independence. And we have 23 IITs, and we have ISERs, and we have Indian Institute of Science, and we have state universities, we have agriculture universities, we have defense universities. So large network has been established, and I am told that about 25 crore people, students, are learning in this system. 25 crore people out of the 135 crore population that we have today, one of the largest education system of. So it's so important. What is what are the roots of our education system? What is the purpose of our education system? Why universities are built? And we said that, I think at that time, and again we said the education is for, I think, the liberation of mind. Some Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore talked about it. The purpose is, I think, we must be able to liberate our mind. So do we have the education of that kind? So this is a fundamental question. I'm extremely happy that Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal has taken this path. Of course, we followed largely the Western education system. And one of the things, I think, whatever the things which, of course, there is a good to will, I think, embrace that system. I'm not saying that we should embrace the novelty or the newness of what was developed over several, I think, the thousand of years, the history of 1,000 years, I think, in Europe, and then the Britishers carried it to us, and today we have this system. But we also see the aberrations in this civilization has virtually, I think, this transformation which has been brought about, I think we are not happy about it. It was meant for the British rules, the Britishers to rule us for thousands of years, and we have been blaming Macaulay for that. But no more we can blame Macaulay. I think we must take some very positive steps, and there are many things which were done at that time. I remember over the years, I'm seeing the succession, the transformation which was brought by some many great thinkers from Macaulay to the Woods Dispatch, to the Hunter Commission, to the Radhakrishnan Commission, which came after then, I think, just in 1948, Kothari Commission. We know the recommendations of Kothari Commission, and that has made a series of recommendations at that time, 1966, and we have the National Education Policy that came before us, and then, of course, the Yashpal Committee report, which came 2003, and the report of the National Knowledge Commission, which came before us, the Tandon Committee report in 2009, and today we are talking about the latest, I think, the incarnation of this is the committee which was set up by the current government, under the leadership of none other than Padma Vibhushan Kasturi Rangan, Dr. Kasturi Rangan, which is being discussed and been debated and discussed. And I'm sure, I think I know that Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal had made series of recommendations, had organized series of conferences on this subject, and giving the thought that what should be the nature of our education for the future as the India will emerge. The new India is emerging in the 21st century. If you really observe, our education system, I see the continuation, unbroken continuation of the Gurukul system, which still exists in many forms, as we are seeing today, and I am experiencing myself today, and as well as the new university education system that has emerged now, of which I think the crores of people, The millions of people, students are learning, not only from India, but they go all over the world. I think they are learning in this the current university education system. So my argument is that, my thinking is that we should look at a new framework for education, because this education has several challenges. It has not been able to solve the major problems of the humanity. I think yesterday, today, and it will not be able to solve tomorrow. For example, this pandemic that has come before us. The pandemic, and we don't know the very purpose of education and research itself. It is a transformation of minds which is to be done before the new innovations and before, I think, the very powerful technologies are developed in the university system or your research system. So I would blame that that we are not being, like Swami Vivekananda talked about it, is about man making. What is the education? Education is the, I think, the instrument for man making, and that we have not been able to make in the current system, and that's why we require the revisit and reimagination. I am reimagining the current education system. I think I'm not saying we have to discard what I think the modern education system. We have to discard the modern university system, but I think we can do it to accomplish something which has not been accomplished before. Some light has been thrown on this issue by the Dr. Kasturirangan committee in the new education policy. A lot of light has been thrown by the Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal on the very fundamental issues in the conferences they have been organizing for last 2 years, as I have been participating in them. This one, and we have to bring about those transformation or these changes in that thing. On my part, I don't want to, my dear students and teachers who are present here, I do not just want to advise that what this should be done and that should be done like that. I want to really, I think, what can I contribute? I think these roots come from many years. I think I take my inspiration from Homi Bhabha. I take my experience from Vikram Sarabhai, who said that one day the satellite education will play a very important part in India's education system, and nobody believed at that time in the planning commission. But he said he had warned the planners at that time. Vikram Sarabhai said that, friends, you don't realize now how the system we are developing in space program, which you think is the waste of time, is like firing the Diwali crackers or the Diwali rockets. And he said that one day you will realize that this scientific experiments that we are doing today through ISRO, I think, will play extremely important role in our education. And nobody believed him at that time. But thanks God, I think we have given then subsequently enough importance to this. Today we are leading in this technology, and we are able to reach out. Today we are able to communicate with each other through internet, through different means through satellite communication, through many means. I think DTH channels, what we are thinking, the education to home channels which we'll have, I think it is because of the dream, the envisioning of this system by great scientific minds today. I would like to say that while talking about it, one thing which we had imagined was that one day, I remember starting the education to home initiative, ETH initiative at the turn of the century, at the very beginning of that the DTH will play a very important role. Direct to home, I think, was not known, which are just emerging technology, and because the DTH technology can span the continent, also the entire Indian subcontinent or the continents also. This one today, as we see today in our televisions, and they have become interactive, and that's why we must have the education to home, which are several channels beaming across India, and we started experimenting on that, how to make it affordable, how India can launch its own satellites, and all the transponders which will beam several educational channels for our large population, which is reaching to one of the largest population of the world. I think 138 crores now, and very soon 140 crores will cross China. So those dreams came at that time. So what I'm trying to say is that it is not just envisioning, it is giving them their expression, practical experience. And I know what challenge it was at that time to really develop that DTH technology. Developing India's own satellites, the launch system for that. I think set-top box that can reach to every home, the last mile, which is a big challenge on this one. And of course the internet which was spread across. Today we have built national knowledge network connecting all universities, most universities of India, and we have to upgrade that thing to the next level, and that efforts are going on, in which that NKN, other things, and what CDAC is trying to contribute, Center for Development of Advanced Computing, under which we had opportunity to develop India's first supercomputers, and now the next level of, I think, the great cloud-based infrastructure for, of course, beaming of including the educational content or educational infrastructure, which will be research infrastructure that would be required for tomorrow. So what I am trying to say is that it is not just visualization, and it must be practiced, it must be brought in. It is in this context I have been thinking of the future of university. Not only me, I have taken a lot of inspiration from this many thinkers, including Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan, who is now the deputy chairman of the UGC, and who has been given thought that reimagination of the future universities of India. What should be the future universities of India? And I have taken a lot of inspiration from him in this case, and I felt that the time has come that one side we must continue, and that has been our the steady part of our Indian civilization, continuation of the past, as well as embracing the future to be. This is one of the things. Our education system must be from technological perspective, must be a combination of both. I think what Professor Bhushan Patwardhan has called the Kulguru system is dominated by the vice chancellors. I think the leadership of the vice chancellors, which is the modern, I think, sign of the modern university frameworks, governance, and the Gurukul system, which is the informal system. There are many gurus in India, particularly in all tradition, whether it's in agriculture or whether it is in music, whether it's in yoga, it is in language learning, which are unbroken history of Ayurveda we are talking about in the context of the COVID, this 19. So there has to be the continuation of that and its re-emergence in the 21st century, as well as I think the development of the next generation universities. We are talking about top 500 universities. Why India doesn't have many names there? Of course, they started coming in, our Institute of Science, some of the IITs, the BHU, and BITS Pilani, and there are other private universities which are emerging, whom we are labeled now as the new universities of India, I think, and the 20 universities. And we, of course, we have a long way to go. This must be research driven, all that kind of things. So one thing is that we have to advance that. This must be backed by the technology. Today, I think we see, because of the COVID coming, I think the one positive side has been that we are all sitting in our homes. We are learning from homes. The universities are conducting lectures, the MOOC lectures, and we have developed this technology. We have been developing this technology or this framework for several years now. So one side this is going on, and another side, I think I also see that I'm able to connect to my great gurus. Able to connect my great guru, Guru Sakre Maharaj, from whom I learned Jnaneshwari, the great profound commentary on Bhagavad Gita. I'm able to connect to him. He is able to answer my questions, or he is able to give me I think the series of lectures on very, very important topics which form the foundation of the Vedic system itself. So this is so we have to reinterpret the Gurukul system today. I think in the sense of that Guru will be sitting in his ashram, but radiating his thoughts, teaching these thoughts across several learners across the world, not only in India, across the world. And I'm seeing this in the Das form, I'm seeing this in the yoga form, I'm seeing this in Ayurveda as we conduct the World Ayurveda Congress, and we are getting prepared for that. So this has to be interpreted in that context. How should be the content creation? How the student communication should be, teacher communication should be, how we can create new environments, new virtual environments, what was discussed in the Vedic times. We live in the three systems simultaneously. I think very important. This is a prapanchik system. That is the practical system, as Vyavaharik system, as we see today, as in the physical world. And it is also pratibhasik system. It is a system what we call today virtual system. The reality manifests in also the practical form, and also the virtual form, and then eventually it manifests in the minds of the students, which are shaped by the great teachers, what you call the Paramarthic system. So it was imagined at that time. Today we are actually experiencing this possible in the virtual world. Tomorrow's virtual world, tomorrow's worlds will going to be very different. We are talking about the virtual reality, we are talking about the augmented reality, and we are talking about the mixed reality. It will be difficult to tell what is true and what is things. And one of the questions of the education system is that we have to understand what is the true nature of reality. That is the question of science. Is the fundamental question of this is the question of philosophy. This is the question of really to understand that nature, which can it be described in words? I think, or it's neti, it's not like this, not like that, and then you go to the kernel of the truth. So it is in that system. It is in this context I feel that we require innovators. We require, I think Einstein has said that imagination is more important than actually inventions. What he brought forth and got him the Nobel Prize. But he said that imagination, the correct imagination, and the correct imagination is possible only, I think, as we learn from the Vedic knowledge system, in the presence of the great gurus who have known that system. I think unless we are just not known as a piece of information or knowledge, but who has experienced that system, we require the great gurus like that. It is there, the succession of such gurus who have come in India, incarnated in certain thing, and that's why the system, the maximum importance, more than God, is given to the gurus. I think no other culture, no other civilization, I think such importance has been given to the guru. We say Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma. He is larger than the reality itself. That is the thing I think we students must understand, and we want that kind of thing, that they must become the next succession of gurus to carry on this nature, I think, understanding of this true nature of reality. Friends, as Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal is discussing on this issue and trying to promote what should be the, I think, part to be, and imagine the future system. What is I say? I said that's why I brought I think the enunciation of Einstein, that is, imagination is more important than even invention. So we have to imagine. We are here assembled today across several homes. I think that I'm speaking from to you from my office in Pune, and many of you are listening in different parts of Vidarbha, in Maharashtra, and of course Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal is reaching out to thousands of, I think, the students and teachers where I'm sharing my thoughts. So in this, my idea on this, the following day of the Vyasa Puja, which is very important, starting from the succession of Vyasa, we saw then Jagat Guru Shankaracharya, and then in Maharashtrian context, or the context people who are aware of the great contribution of the great profound interpretation of the Bhagavad Gita in Jnaneshwari form, the knowledge divine, and then of course that succession continues to Gulab Rao Maharaj, whom I think learnt about him and published all his literature, and of course the current Guru Sakre Maharaj, who has interpreted this whole thing in and of course taught me. I understood the importance of the Gurukul system only when I really started living in Sadhaka Ashram in Alandi, along with in the vicinity or in the guidance of my Guru, and I virtually became the part of that Gurukul, from where and there I understood what is the great grand importance of this one. The question is asked now, we say, what is relevance today, which is a great thing. Today, I think I must say that kind of thing, even today, even the last century, I think the great systems as they emerged, for example, quantum mechanics as it emerged at the beginning of the last century, and there was a quantum mechanics interpretation, and which came by great minds, and then we had the students of them, learning from them, and then that's how the quantum mechanics got developed and spread across the world, which is giving the very, very altered view, which is a very enhanced view, which is the deep view of the universal reality. And we are talking about the great, I think, the understanding of the reality in terms of consciousness, which was, I think, originally talked during through meditative contemplations, and that system has to be revisited, reimagined, and interpreted for and we have to visit what is my purpose? What is the purpose of my life itself? What is the purpose of this universe which we see today? Why I get pain and sufferings as we experience today? And those fundamental questions have to be revisited in every mind starting from the school education to our higher education, and we must become the enlightened people like Buddha, enlightened at that time, the world at that time, and I think had a great impact in large part of Asia, and that I think and Buddha insisted on getting that experiential knowledge. That's why I think I will end with this. When we starting of knowledge is in two terms we talk about, not just information or not just the knowledge as we say, but also it must be experiential knowledge. It must be experienced by us, through whom we really call the wisdom. So it's a jnana vijnana yoga. I think both we must know. The spiritual knowledge, because without which I think the quantum mechanics has brought the importance of that experiential knowledge is very important of the thing, that as well as the modern contemporary knowledge, which is in the form of information, knowledge or discoveries which come in front of us. For what? For the ascent of the humanity, for the ascent of not only India, not only my part of my school or college or university, but the entire world. Because unless the whole world is educated, we have learned from COVID, it is kind of not question of the whole, we have to embrace the whole world of humanity, including all beings, not only humans but also the all beings, without which such challenges cannot be met. And that's why Saint Dhaneshwara called that Kami, Hey Vishwachi Majegara, the whole world is my family. And he went further in I think what is now understood by quantum mechanics, the whole universe itself, I have become myself. So that kind of realization has to come, and I think I'm here that kind of thing that we must get. There's the golden treasury of knowledge that has come to us, and we must now develop tomorrow's university. I'm not talking about the students today who are listening to me. When they are asked upon to create new schools or new colleges or new universities, we all must keep this in mind to create the future education system. Now which I see one glimpse of it. See, it is a great synthesis or combination of the Gurukul system and Kul-Guru system of today. So, and that's what I think characterizes our culture. It is Sanatan, that is, it is eternal, as well as it is Sadanutan. It is always can express itself in the newer forms as the needs of the society arise, without changing the foundations, without shaking the foundations of that system, and they are unshakable. So, friends, I am really grateful to you, all of them, particularly Mukulji, who invited me for this lecture after the Vyas Puja, and I think several thoughts must have sprouted in your mind, which must find expressions, and your expressions will create tomorrow's great education system for the world. I'm not talking for India. And never mind where we stand today, where we stand in the system like that, but we have begun on this process, and I have no doubt with the blessings of the Gurus that Gurukula, which come from Shankara, which comes from Sri Krishna, and which comes from to us to Vyasa, to Jagat Guru Shankaracharya, to Dhaneshwar Maharaj, and like that. I think this is going to be, the great journey ahead, and eventually the purpose is, as Aurobindo called about, to create the enlightened being of tomorrow, I think, where we'll see the synthesis of both science and spirituality together as a complete knowledge. The Gyan Vigyan Yoga is chapter 7 in Bhagavad Gita, and that manifestation, I hope I will see the glimpse of it as we go on in our life. I'm looking for that day. And thank you. I wanted to speak, share my knowledge with a lot of Hindi-speaking students, but I mostly spoke in English. So never mind that. I think you understand this language. We have mastered this language also, and I'm looking forward to working with you with a new enthusiasm as I reach my age of 75. And I feel that no, we are not, but I will begin once again and make that try to make the small changes which I can contribute to this world and to our great country called Bharat. Thank you so much, and I'm grateful to you for listening to me. Thank you so much.